Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's webinar. My name is Denise Broom, and I work in the Engineering CAD Systems office here in Tallahassee. And this week we are going to be talking about the FDOTSS4 menus. This is going to be a series of webinars. We have 3 of them lined up to cover our basic menus. And this week it's the standard menu and the CellApps menu. So the objective is to explore the standard and CellApps menu. Hopefully when we get through, you guys, if you are not familiar, we try to place some tools out there. We have a lot of tools to help you guys save time during the design process. Part 1 of 3. All right, so the standard menu, it's available in all workspaces, and it has a series of options and tools that are available to us, and I'm going to go through the list here. First thing that we have on the standard menu is the version number. So if you ever get one of us send you an email back and says, well, what version of our software are you running? You need to go back and look at the standard menu and pull this down and tell us what this number is right here. The FDOT menu configuration. This allows us to change our workspace. If you hear us ask, what workspace are you in? It's related to the menu configuration. Our menu configuration tool, it has the standard menu, which a lot of times you'll hear it referred to as the roadway menu, and it allows all of these extra options. So we have discipline-specific menus that we can turn on and off, from construction, geotech, traffic plans, drainage, roadway, traffic control. The menu configuration also controls, depending on which of these items that I've selected, it tells the program which cell libraries to attach, which features to attach, because we have multiple feature libraries, and we've broken them down into separate DGN libs, so that you're not overwhelmed with the number of features that are available for use. Sometimes, if I don't need to see the utility features or I don't need to see the survey features, then I can go into my menu configuration and turn these off. And then whenever I go to look in my listings, they're not shown. We also have, these options are also available with the structures menu, so I would select the standard plus structures, and then I could pick any one of these. So I could see the roadway menu along if I was in the structures workspace. We have the right-of-way menu, and there's also a photogrammetry menu. One note that I do want to go ahead, and I found this during creating, going through the menu, creating my presentation for this morning. I've got Connect, which is the next version out for MicroStation. And if you have MicroStation Connect installed on your computer alongside the current supported software, then it's not going to work. It tries to, even if SS4, because everything today is going to be in SS4, if I have SS4 loaded last, it still will try to open up MS Connect MicroStation, that version. So just be aware that that's what's going on. It still works. You just have to physically close down MicroStation and then reopen it, and then you'll see the menu configuration the way that you wanted it. But it tries to open up Connect instead of the SS4 version. All right, so real quick, I'm going to go over into MicroStation just so we can see this in action. So under standard, I'd go to FDOT menu configuration, and it opens up the dialog. And here, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to the structures menu just so that you guys can see this. It's going to really change drastically what I've got going on up here. Okay, so I'm going to turn off construction, geotech, and I'll turn off these features. Before I change this, let me go in real quick and go to Elements, Cells, and I just wanted you to see what's in my drop-down list. So once I have everything set the way that I want it to be, then I would hit the option, the little wrench, which tells it OK. And this will take a second or two, as long as MicroStation is cooperative and doesn't take too long. Because I have Connect on my machine, I had to actually click the button to go back into MicroStation. If you don't, then the way that it works, you don't have to do that. It'll automatically reopen your file. So what you'll see here, this is the Structures menu. And I've gotten and seen a lot of calls where there's certain tools you can't access or things don't tend to work right. And without realizing it, you guys are in the Structures menu. It's a kind of a dead giveaway. If my standard CellApps, Actions, and Design apps, these are standard and in all workspaces, if they are on the right side of your menu bar, then you're in the Structures workspace and you'll need to go back in and change it. So I would go back to the menu configuration, change it back to standard, and tell it OK. And now you can see from earlier, I have the basic menus, which will always be there, but now I don't have the big long list of every discipline out here. I only have roadway, traffic control, and traffic plans. All right, so that was the FDOT menu configuration. Let me go back to the next option down is the FDOT menu help. This has changed a little bit out there within the last few weeks, so know that it's coming. We broke up the help files so that you have one help file for all the options on the standards menu, and then everything that is kind of generic for the menu itself is now in a separate help file, and it's accessed by clicking on the FDOT menu help button, which is out here on the side. You can notice that it's a little bit different. It's not the little question mark. It looks like a little piece of paper. Okay, but it opens up the menu help. It has the configuration information about that. It has information about the command buttons that are at the end of the menu bar. The right-click options, what they do. Talks about tooltips, and it also talks about all the help links that you find throughout our menus. I'm going to take a really quick look at that. So if I go to FDOT menu help, goes over the FDOT menu configuration, and it shows you what they have. Like I said, Structures is the only one that has it over on the right, the standard, instead of on the left. Okay, it runs through and tells us what all of the at the end of the menu, we have some command buttons. The star is to run the plot scale. The check mark is to run QC Quick. The little folder is the command list, which basically these are set up so that you could go in each of the disciplines here and set your levels. Open Browser opens up the CAD Pilot Internet Explorer window. Sheet Navigator, the little sheet with the, looks like a little star on the corner. And opening up the FDOT help files and training video clips. This is out there on the web now. So as we make changes, you don't have to wait until the next update. You can access our help file. So whenever I click on one of the question marks next to a tool, you might open it one day and it'll have, maybe it's got some older information and we needed to add things in. A good example is Link Data Manager. Last week we posted another version of that help file, so now if you go in there, you'll get the extra information as well. Okay, so this makes it a lot easier for us to get the information out there to you, and it's, as you can see, it's broken up by the different topics and the different menus. I thought we had the right-click options, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the right-click options. Okay, so as I go across here, I can right-click anywhere along the FDOT menu, and it has a lot of different options. I can show the shortcuts. I can, which gives me shortcuts out here. I can turn those off, I can have it auto hide. I can change the color. Right now it's the purple, which I know it looks pink, but purple. In my presentation, it's blue. You can go to green, whatever color you want. I'm going to turn it back to purple. The saved settings, basically, if I can set the color, whatever I want within the menu. I change the color. I can change the location on my screen. Whatever changes I make like that, once I've got it where I want it and the color that I want it, I can change the transparency to something else that it's more transparent. It kind of really fades into the background here. I like to see it up at 100%. Once I have everything set, then I would tell it to save settings. So the next time that I open up MicroStation, then it's going to be the same colors. It's going to be in the same location. A lot of times I tend to put mine up in my view window at the top where it's not blocking any of my other MicroStation menus up here, and it's also not down in my view. But for the webinar, of course, I've got this out. Okay, so that's our right-click options. This will give you the version number for CAD Pilot. These right here are, you guys won't see these two. You'll see reload. Reload just basically it rereads the information and reloads what's in the menus. The edit, that's for us. You guys won't have that. And then there's a help or user's guide out here for what's in that and how it works. It's more for us than it would be for you guys. And if I hit exit, then it's going to close the menu down. I'd need to either restart MicroStation, or there is, and it's in the help file. If you ever do accidentally hit exit, there is a key in. There it is. So you would have to tell it to MDL load, or you can go to your MDL under utilities, and you could load that cadpilot.ui.ma, load that back in, and your menu would come back up. The next set of options that we have broken out are for exploring our different directories. Basically, we've got one option to explore the current working directory. So whatever your project, whatever directory you're working in at the time, if I tell it to open that current working directory, then it's going to open up File Explorer so I can get to the different files in my directory that I may need to, it might be a text file that I need to modify, or maybe there's something in there I want to go ahead and delete, and then I'm fixing to recreate something. I can very quickly get to the current working directory, because a lot of times our working directories for our projects, they're buried out there on a server, or maybe you're working from your C drive, but either way, sometimes it's buried pretty deep and it takes time to go and re-navigate. This saves a lot of time. I use it a lot. The other option is to explore the FDOTSS4 directory, or if you're whichever version of our software that you're running, it will open up that directory to our stuff. A lot of times it's out there on the server. You can go directly to it. Say you're working in the DDB and you want to copy that directory locally. You can use this or save as within the tool, but you can also go out here to this. Another one is that I can think of that you would need to do is if you're using the Summary Drainage Structures VBA, there is a master Excel file that is sitting out there in our directory. You'd want to, this is a quick way to get to your FDOTSS4 directory so that you can then grab that, copy it, put it in your local working directory, modify it, and go from there. So it provides quick access to those directories that you need while you're working on your project. So I would go to Standard, Explore Current Working Directory, and this is the roadway directory, which is the directory that I've been working in. So maybe I want to look at this XML file, or, you know, I'm clipping plan sheets and I want to go ahead and just delete all of these plan sheets out. I can very quickly delete that and they're gone. Then I can go back into MicroStation and reclip sheets. Okay. All right. The other option is to explore the SS4 directory. And again, it pops it up for me so that now I'm looking at what is out here. And I want to say that Excel file that I was talking about a second ago, the FDOT _drain struct summary master, that Excel file, I could take and copy this. I can open up my working directory along with the VBA directory, copy and paste that to my roadway directory, get into it, and keep moving. So it's a quick way to access those directory and save you time. All right, so next, for the most part, the rest of our menu is a lot of links for the standard menu. So I have the next set are our website links. One is to AASHTO, the MUTCD, and the standard highway signs and markings. So if there was a need for you to access those documents that are out there on the web, I can quickly get to those websites with these links. So I could go, let's say I wanted to go to the MUTCD website. It takes me out here, so then I can get to, you know, whatever it is that I need to get to out here. The next group of options that we have on our menu is the FDOT publication resources. Things like the basis of estimates, getting out there to their website, the design standards, the Office of Design's documents and publications. That one takes you out to their main page, so I can get to all of the publications under the designs website. I can get to the PPM, as well as there's a link out there to the traffic engineering office. We've updated that recently so that it actually goes to the traffic engineering manual. It takes you straight to it, not just to their website. So all of these are FDOT resource websites. If you've never been to one of them, there's a lot of information out there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the documents and publications. And this takes you out here. So, you know, by office, I can go and look for whatever it is that I'm looking for. Like maybe I want the Florida Green Book, which isn't on our list, but I have a link to it that I can very quickly get there. Okay, the next set of options is the CAD support and training resources. We have our customer support guide, which kind of has the guidelines for getting support. What do you need to do? What all is available to you. It also has a listing of all of the software that and programs that we do support, and who's your primary and secondary contacts for each of those different areas. The CAD help files, I can get to those. The online support forum, that is the Bentley community site that we use to host our FDOT CAD support community. But you can get there. That's a really good forum to ask questions. There's quite a few people in there that we watch the interaction all the time from here, where you guys are really good about asking questions, and then there's several people that pitch in and say, okay, try this, or I've found in my experience that this works. So it's a really good place for that. It's also a place where if in the interim between our major releases, if there are some major fixes that need to go out, we will post them out there on that website. So it's a really good place for you guys to go for a lot of different reasons. The CAD manual, there's a link to the CAD manual on there. as well as links to our training manuals that we have available and the webinars, which the training webinars, that's basically our posted webinars site where all of our webinars are recorded, and then we post them out there for you guys to use as reference if you ever need to go back and say, you know, I remember she said something about that. Where was that? You guys can go back out here to get to those webinars at any time. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys customer support guide. Okay, so if I go all the way down to the bottom, there's a link to the PDF. And I don't know if how many of you guys even realize this is out here. So as I go through this guide, it has a lot of information about who we are, what we do, and training that's available, our support, levels of support, what do I need to do, expectations, as well as down here the CAD support contacts. So everything that if we can categorize what we do, different tools or tool sets are listed in here. We've got the Autodesk group, and maybe you're looking at Civil 3D quarter modeling. Who do I need to call? Well, my first person I would want to call, primary contact for that, would be Mike Rocca. If there's a secondary contact out here, some have them, some don't, most of them do. If I can't get a hold of Mike, then I'd call Randy. Below that, we've got all of the Bentley. So, you know, if you had a question, who's responsible for the FDOT menus? Well, Actions is Christy. I think Roadway, that would be me. Okay, so that gives you more information on cross sections. Who do you need to call? Again, that would be me. If it's quarter modeling, you would want to call Vern or Brad. Okay, so this is a really useful guide to kind of get you guys in the right direction. This is just one way of getting to that information. Okay, let me go ahead and close that. Like I said, there's the online support forum. I highly recommend that you guys get out there and check that out. Training manuals. This takes us straight to the training page where I can go to, say, automated quantities. Tells me what is included in this manual, topics, and there is a PDF available with a manual as well as a data set that you can use to walk through and with the manual and the exercises that are included in the manuals. Okay, so that's available out there, as well as, this is a very common question. You guys ask it, someone does it every webinar. When is this going to get posted? Will it get posted? This is our posted training sessions for our webinars. They're grouped into general resources, MicroStation, and Autodesk. Okay, so you can go out here. Maybe I want to look at quarter modeling. There's a whole slew of webinars that are out here for me to look at. And that would really be for SS2. So there's another one. It's the roadway design and 3D modeling. This is SS3 and SS4. So here's some webinars as well on, you know, the quarter modeling and more that's out here. These are all available for you guys to use. And last but not least, on the bottom of the standard menu is the section for the ECSO connection. How do you get connected to us? You can use the email link, which opens up an email that is addressed to ECSO support, which goes to not our entire office, but pretty good number of us, so that if someone's not in, someone else can see that the email's gotten here and jump in and help answer your questions. ECSO go-to meeting. If we ever are on the phone with you guys and, you know, it's like, hey, can we do a go-to meeting? We're going to ask you to go to the standard menu and click on this link to open up the CAD Pilot browser that's going to take you to, you know, asking for the meeting ID. Okay, so this is the link we're talking about. ECSO support staff, I'll show you this. This is a lot, it's similar. It doesn't have all the same information, but as far as figuring out who should I contact, support staff, that's a valuable tool as well. And then there's a link that goes out to our website. and home page. So real quick, let me go back out here. So if I go to the mail link, it's going to open up. It's going to go to ECSO.support, type in a subject, email, send it to us, and we'll do our best to get your questions answered as quickly as possible. CAD support staff. This application was developed so that I can go through, so we've got Jimmy, tells what is it that he does. There's a list of us, and all of us that can help you support in MicroStation. Pretty sure I have something similar for the Autodesk, only it would have who supports the Autodesk products. And I'll go ahead and click on me. So it tells you what tools. So if I have a problem with my Geopack labeler, I can see in here, granted you've got to kind of scroll through all of this, but if I did have a problem with the labeler, then you know you'd need to contact me. You can either call me, or there's a mail to link, which will open up an email address to me. Send me your questions. A lot of times it's a lot easier to send me emails than it is to get through to me and talk to me. So there is this application that's sitting out here as well. The next topic is the CellApps menu. Again, it's available in all of our workspaces. Okay, so there's a series of tools out here to help us when we're working with cells. Okay, the first option, the FDOT cell libraries. This opens up the cell library dialog box, and the active library will be attached. Nothing real fancy, it's just a quick way to open up this dialog. The FDOT cell web pages. This opens up our cell web pages. I put this in here because I think at one of our other webinars, they were thinking that these cell web pages were actually out there on the web somewhere for you guys to access when you're like outside of MicroStation. No, they are part of our software. The only way to get these is with our software. But it opens, we call them the cell web pages because it opens up this browser for us to access the cells, and it basically gives us a different way to place cells in our file. Okay, and I'll go ahead and open this up so that you guys can actually see it. So if I go to CellApps, Cell Web Pages, and I clicked, okay, yep. So let me change this and open it up some. So it's set up by cell library, which are pretty much discipline specific. So I've got drainage, geotech, ITS, landscape, etc. You'll notice that, like for drainage, there's a lot of different options in here. Well, if you opened up that particular cell library, there's a lot of cells out there. This helps to say I needed just, you know, a flared in section. Okay, I could click on this and it's going to show me only the flared ends that are available in that cell library. So we've customized these to try to make it easier for you to find the cells that you need in your design process. There's also drop downs. If I went to traffic plans, I could see there's an ITS library, the lighting, signalization, as well as the signing and pavement markings. Traffic control. This one has, it pulls some of the cells from the MUTCD as well as from the traffic control plan cell libraries in order to get like regulatory signs and my warning signs. So this is a valuable tool. So let me just go, I'll grab this one and let me just say I wanted a channelizing device. Okay, it sets the place active cell, and then you can see it out here on my cursor, and then I can place it in the file. So now it's placed in the cell, or in the file. Then I can come back in here and I can grab a different cell and place the cell in here. Okay, so that's one option that we have available to us, is to use cell web pages. Most people, we either love them or hate them. I tend to be one of the old-fashioned, go give me the cell library dialog. So both options are here, and I can use either one. So the next group, and I've got a slide for each of these, are the cell utilities. Okay, there's a cell search. Okay, that allows me to search a number of cell libraries based on some kind of description. So I would put in, say, arrows, and then do a search, and then I would get everything that has arrow in the description. So that's another way that I can go in and find cells that I'm looking for by using the cell search. This is cool because it searches through more than one cell library, especially if I'm doing traffic plans. Traffic plans, I tend to go, I'm constantly moving from one cell library to another in order to get the cells that I need to get into my files. Having the cell search is really cool to be able to extract and have a listing of cells from multiple cell libraries. Okay, so that's the cell search. We have a cell counter. This report that you see on the screen, I did in a topo file. So basically what it does is whenever I bring up the dialog, I tell it I want to look for it, and it only will look for one thing at a time. So I can look for cells, I can look for orphan cells. Those are like graphic groups. Basically, orphan cells are groups of elements that are together. Like it's a lot like a graphic group, but it doesn't actually have a name. Okay. I can also do a search for shared cells, and it will find all of the shared cells that are within a file. Okay, but in this example, I used cells. I told it to use the design file. I can set the model. I can use a selection set, a fence. I told it to just grab everything in the file, and then it gave me the totals by the name. Okay, I can also bring it up on the screen and see it in a dialog. For some reason, I needed the list of all the cells that are in a file. I can send it out to a text file. Once they're in this dialog, I can click on the headers to change the ordering within the dialog. Okay, so that's the cell counter. And then we have the cell utility. Cell utility has a couple of different options, but on the dialog, you can see these first three options here. Basically, it takes a cell library, and it's whatever is your active cell library. Okay, I have no way of changing the cell library within the dialog, so I select my active library, then I can go in here and it will create these sheets in the screen that's got the cell information as well as the cell itself, and I can, if for some reason I needed to print that, I could straight from MicroStation. It has an option for 2 per sheet, so the 1x2, 2x4, so it's 2 columns with 4 rows, or 4 columns with 8 rows. Options for creating those sheets. I can also create a list of cells using this icon here. It basically, all the cells that are in a cell library, it'll create a list for me, and it saves it as a .lis file in your working directory. I'm not sure how often you'll use that one, but it is available. If you have, I would not recommend this last one. It's to actually delete the cells from the library. I wouldn't recommend that on any of the FDOT cell libraries, but if you had a custom cell library out there, this is a way that you could go in and do some cleanup quickly within that cell library. Go through the list, I don't need this one, and delete it from there. Let me real quick move over to a topo file. Let me go up, and then so cell search. Okay, this application, I can go in and I can do a search within any of the cell libraries or all of the cell libraries. All of them is going to take longer. So let me clear this and make it quicker. So I'm going to leave these drainage ones up, and maybe I just want to know what do I have out there for, and I'll try MES and see what I get and do a search. So it's going to search in just those 4 cell libraries. And obviously, the more cell libraries that you have, the bigger the search is going to be, longer it'll take. So I did a search on end, and I got all of these flared end sections in the existing and proposed in the 2D files. Okay, so these are all 2D. These aren't. These are typical section type cells. But as you can see, I got all of these cells just by doing a search from within those cell libraries. And then from there, I can just choose the ones that I need and just keep right on moving. I'm going to go ahead and close this. The cell counter, I can tell it to look in the active model or all models. I'm going to leave it to active. There's only one, the default model. I want to tell it to find the cells in the active file. I want to total it by name. I can total it by attribute. Tell it to report to the screen and click apply, and I get a report. So these are all of the cells that are used within my topo file. I can change it so that I am looking at it in alphabetical order, or maybe I want to look at the count. This is an old tool, by the way, guys. Or I can do it, go ahead and do it by description and change the sort order. Okay? So that is available out there for you if you have a need for it. I can see where, you know, if I had a topo file and I can see, okay, how many trees do I have out there that got surveyed in? This is a very quick way of finding all of the cells for all of my trees, add them up, and there's how many trees got surveyed on my project. Okay. Maybe it's just within, this is where I can tell within a selection set. So maybe I just want to create, you know, I can create a selection set of, you know, just a certain area. Okay. How many trees did I get in there? Well, there's not as many. I've only had 12 in this location. So I can see this being a useful tool in certain situations. So it's available, it's out there. So that's the cell counter. Cell utility, this one, like I said, it uses the active library. So what do I have active is the drainage cell library. Okay, if I go through here and I create I do have to select these. Okay, so if I don't have a selection and I tell it to draw and place this, where is it at? Okay. I know what it is. That was what it was. My filter. Okay, so those that I just had selected, if I go in here, I then can see those that I had selected. These are the cells, and it's the existing drainage library that I have open. Okay, useful, possibly. Can't think of one right off the top of my head. If you're not, I mean, I can see it being useful for somebody who's trying to maintain a personal cell library. And hopefully, I mean, I know a lot of people do have their own cell libraries. I know when I was active in design, I did. This is a tool that's out there. And like I said, I can put more per sheet if I wanted to. I can create a list and save it out there as an LIS file. If I needed that, as well as go in and delete cells, which I don't want to do, so I'm not going to. Okay, so those are the cell utility type options that we have on the CellApps. And then the last section at the bottom are cell manipulation tools. Okay, First option is to, if I had a DWG file or a DGN file with shared cells within it, I can export those shared cells or DWG blocks to a cell library, and it automatically saves this file as the CellLib.cel in your active working directory. So that's one way that you can get blocks to MicroStation, but in our workflows, it's not something that you'd ever need to do because our blocks and cells match. We have one in each platform. Mirror cells or flip custom line styles. This tool I have a choice. I can either mirror a cell about an active angle. So in this case, I had, this is a tree stump cell, and I flipped it using this tool. Okay, so that's one option that I have. The other option is that I can flip a custom line style. So say I've got a tree line that's going in the wrong direction, I can flip it so that it then to run the opposite direction. Okay, so that's a tool that we'll look at in a few minutes. Randomly splatter cells. This is an old tool. It's been here forever. Basically what this tool does is it randomly places cells within an area that you define. Basically, you're going to come in here, you'll open up the tool, splatter cells, give it a cell name. I can search out in the cell library. I tell it how many of these cells that I want to place within the area that I define, and tell it what scale to use. Optionally, I can have it rotate the angle so they're not all placed at a uniform angle. And I can also tell it to give me random scales. So I'll have all different sizes of this scale that it'll place. I have a min and a max that I can set, so it'll place them all within a range. Refresh the active cell is what that means. So I can refresh the active cell that's up here. Clicking splatter actually places all the cells. Okay. Once I've placed the cells and I say, oh, I don't like that, because it is random. So if I don't like that, then I can tell it to undo, and then go back up, hit splatter again, and do it again. And then when I'm done, I just click done. Okay, it exits the tool. When I click splatter, it's going to give me down here, this is like a message box that's going to give you directions. What is it looking for? So once I click splatter, it'll tell me to place a fence block. Place the fence, and then reset, right click, to place the cells into the area defined. Not too difficult a tool, although it can be a little picky with the fence, and I'll show that to you whenever we get that far. I'm going to show all of these at one time. The last, but not least, is delete shared cell definitions. This doesn't have a dialog box. Basically, I'm going to click on it, and it's more of a key-in. And whenever I click on it, it's going to give me this dialog, which obviously it's blank. And then at the bottom, it's going to tell me how many shared cell definitions in my message center that it deleted. Okay. Hopefully, there's not many of you out there that use shared cells. Shared cells is pretty bad news. The idea of it is pretty cool. A shared cell is basically you place the cell one time, and then it stores that cell definition within my MicroStation file. And then I can keep placing that cell, and every time I do, it's using that original cell definition instead of going back to the cell library to place the cells. We have found from our office that causes problems in your MicroStation files, and it is not something that we recommend that you do. Hopefully you guys don't use this, but if you get a file that has shared cells, this is a way that you can get those shared cells out of that file. And I think that was the last slide. Okay, so let's go back into MicroStation and look at, I'm going to Let me just zoom in. I think this is the stump that I was playing with before. So here's a cell that's in my file. I don't have any shared cells or blocks to be able to show you this tool. It's kind of an automatic kind of thing. It's not a dialog box that's going to show up. But if you'll see down in my message center that it exported any of that out to a CELLIB.self. So now I have an empty cell library sitting out there in my working directory. If I had shared cells or if it was a DWG blocks, there would be something in that cell library. Okay, mirror cells, flip custom line styles. Okay, I have the option to do one or the other with this tool. So we'll start with mirror cells. I can define the angle by 2 points, or if I had a line already here that I wanted to use, I could snap to the lines. I select it, and then I left click again to accept it, and now it just flipped that cell for me. I want to flip it back, you just click it and accept it, is all it is. It's not a difficult tool. But it can come in handy when you're trying to, you know, maybe you've gone through and you've had some application that places all these cells and I need to rotate one. Okay, this is a good way that you can do that. The other option is to flip a custom line style. I would select, here's a tree line, and typically my tree line would be bubbling out towards the road, not away from the road. I can select the element, accept it, and it flips it. Pretty cool tool. I don't have to worry about finding a tool to, you know, change the direction of my line. Sometimes that's necessary, but I think that pretty much that's what this does. And last but not least is randomly splatter cells. What? Okay, well maybe not. It knows that I had issues with it the other day. Oh, it's not letting me run this one today. If you're ever, I'm just going to throw this out there. Whenever I click on the option to splatter these cells, by default, most of the time, if we place a fence, the fence, our fence type is set to block, which basically means to set that fence, I'm going to left click, hold it, and drag to set the block. Okay, so now I have a fence. For whatever reason with that tool, it's like it doesn't let you sometimes drag that all the way out to where you need it to. Right clicking to get out of the fence mode will place cells, but it's like it places it on top of each other. I can see this being a really good tool for landscape, you know, where I have a bed defined, so I could create a block or a fence out of that by using the from elements. So if it's a sheep, I can grab the element, go ahead and change it before you place the block. Change this to either a shape or an element, and then get the fence placed, then right click, and you'll have, it'll randomly place the cell that you tell it to within that area. Okay, but that's just something with my testing that I found. Like I said, this is an old tool. If you look at this tool, you can tell it's been here a while. So the code behind it is some of the older code, but it does still work. It's pretty cool. If it's something that you need, that tool is available. Okay. Well, I am done for today, and let me see if you guys had any quick questions. Is it custom line style like the old way of scaling line symbology? If so, will it not work with annotation scale? No, it's not going to do it. These are old tools. This is before annotation scale even was thought of. I would have to test to say for sure that it's no, but I'm 99.9% sure that it's not going to work with the annotation scale. That tool is designed to just take the line style as it is and it flips it. In other words, it knows the way the custom line style is going to be drawn is based on begin and end of that line. So it kind of flips it and it will place it in there. Silt fence, yes, it'll work with a silt fence. Questions that you guys run into, hopefully going through and seeing all of the tools that are available and resources that are available to you through the menu. Hopefully I've shown you something today that you did not realize was out there. The cool thing and what I was looking at was the cell search, being able to search for specific cells and get my own customized group of cells within a dialog to choose from to place cells. I thought that was really cool. I did not realize it was there. Definitely check out our menu. Hopefully it will save you some time. That being said, I hope you guys have a great day, great rest of your week, and we will see you next week.